on behalf of the Panchayat Training Institute, Nagar, like to welcome you all on the online international training on learning science and its impact of e-learning on the rural development training. We are fortunate enough that we have with us in the inaugural session Sri Rajendra Kumar Nuatia, Additional Secretary and Director of Panchayats, Government of Tripura. Sir joined Government of Tripura service on 10th July 1981 as a school teacher. Sri Nuatia joined Tripura Civil Service in the year 1995 as Additional BDO Co-IRD block, and after that he served the Government of Tripura in multiple posts. He had worked as BDO for 3 blocks, Subdivisional Magistrate for 2 subdivisions, Additional District Magistrate and Collector for 3 districts, and District Magistrate in charge for South Tripura District. He had joined the RD Panchayat Department, Government of Tripura, as Additional Secretary and Director of Panchayats on 5th September 2016 and still continuing in this position. Academically, he had completed MA in Economics and had also completed postgraduate diploma in Rural Development. Now I request the Additional Secretary and Director of Panchayat, Sri R.K. Nuatia, to kindly address the inaugural session.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome to today online international training on e-learning science and impact of e-learning on rural development training on 24th and 25th August 2020, organized by the Panchayat Training Institute, Nagar, Agartala, Tripura. This is Rajendra Kumar Nuatia, Additional Secretary and Director of Panchayat Government of Tripura. I welcome all distinguished participants from abroad: Afghanistan 1, Australia 1, Bangladesh 1, Bhutan 1, Cameroon 1, Egypt 1, Nigeria 2, Nepal 1, Philippines 3, Pakistan 1, Saudi Arabia 1, Sierra Leone 1, Tunisia 1, and from India participants probably 135. I convey my thanks to the participants from Sierra Leone, Tunisia, Nigeria, Egypt, and Cameroon for taking part in the training by acknowledging the hardship of waking up in the early morning. I also welcome the Indian participants from Jammu and Kashmir to Chennai and from Gujarat to Guwahati. The learning science is an emerging discipline. The learning sciences are still in the process of defining itself. Accordingly, the identity of the field is multifaceted and varies from institution to institution. Researchers in the interdisciplinary field of learning sciences born during the 1990s study learning as it happens in real world situations and how to better facilitate learning in designated environments. In school, online, in the workplace, and at home, and in informal environments. Learning sciences research may be guided by constructivities, social constructivities, social cognitive, and social cultural theories of learning. We are already in information age, began around 1970s, is still going on today. It is also known as the computer's age, digital age, or new media age. This era brought about a time period in which people could access information and knowledge easily. The information age is a historical period characterized by a rapid epochal shift from the traditional industry established by the Industrial Revolution to an economy primarily based upon information technology. However, in this session, in this program, our focuses are role of learning science on rural development training, changing form of learning, its impact on modern context, learning continuity in the realm of education 4.0, transcending content through learning science, integrating learning management system, using technology to facilitate learning sciences. Friends, at present, the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed vulnerabilities. It has also surfaced extraordinary human resourcefulness and potential. Decisions made today will have long-term consequences for the futures of education. Choices must be based on a humanistic vision of education and development and human rights. Learning science will play leading a role in rejuvenating the educational ecosystem and strengthening the knowledge base of the interested participants. However, I hope the online international training will be very much useful to the educated youth for the development of societies, especially in rural areas. I would like to request Sri Jiban Acharji, the head of PRTI, and Sri Shubhayan Chakraborty, Panchayat Resource Development Officer, course coordinator of this program, to arrange to issue e-learning on successful course completion certificate as early as possible. Before finish speaking, I must express my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to Mr. Jiban Acharji, Deputy Director, as well as Head of the Panchayat Raj Training Institute, and Sri Shobhayan Chakraborty, PRDO Coordinator of this training program, who have given opportunity and privilege to inaugurate the training program. In this session, I would like to mention the name of the resource person, Dr. Devarshi Mukherjee, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Business Management, Tripura University, a Central University. Dr. Jayanta Chaudhary, Associate Professor, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Northeast Region Center, Guwahati, who is very well known, and for his initiative, I personally got an opportunity to visit Bangladesh and to join 1 week the Microsoft Finance training and workshop, and visiting the rural area of Bangladesh, Mirpur 2 area. So I thank Dr. Jayanta Chakraborty also, who will be who is one of the resource person. Sri Chandrabhanu Chakraborty, Associate Portfolio Manager of McGraw Hill Education, India, and Sri Shubhayan Chakraborty, Panchayat Resource Development Officer, Panchayat Raj Training Institute, Nagar, who is also acting as a coordinator of this training program, and the head of the institution, Sri Jiban Chakraborty, who is providing logistic support to make this great event a complete success. So in this session, I would like to announce inauguration of today online international training on e-learning science and impact of e-learning on rural development training on 24th and 25th August 2000. With these few words, I am concluding my speech with thanking everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your inspiring words. Friends, I believe that we are here for getting some hands-on idea regarding learning science as well as the upcoming areas of e-learning which we need to explore in the long run. In this 2 days of international program, we will try our level best to focus on the pertinent issues of e-learning, and we'll try to address your queries, questions, whatever it may be, so that we can apply this knowledge in the practical field and we can come out with some viable solutions. So my topic for this session is changing form of learning and its impact in modern context. My name is Shubhayan Chakravarti. I am the Panchayat Resource Development Officer, Financial Management, posted at Panchayat Training Institute, Nagar, Agartala, and I am also acting as the course coordinator for this 2-day international training program. So, just with the word learning, the first thing which comes to our mind, this is something related to reading, but actually learning is something which is more wide and is a bit multidisciplinary in nature. So by definition, if we go, learning is the process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, behavior, skills, values, attitudes, and preferences. So if we take a look here, we will find that this is not just going through books, it is also something related to understanding, something related to knowledge, behavior of an individual, upgrading skills, upgrading values, attitudes, and also preferences. Meanwhile, if we move to the other dimensions of learning, we will find that change in behavior as a result of experience or practice can also be termed as learning. Acquisition of knowledge can be a part of learning. Knowledge gained through study, again, it can be a part of learning. Process by which behavior is changed, shaped, or controlled can also be termed as learning. Going a bit deeper, we need to understand the origin of learning by means of understanding the basic theories of learning, which will guide us to shape our understanding in terms of the total learning phenomena. In spite of divergent principles, the first principle which is very vital is the principle of behaviorism. Behaviorism is based upon the simple notion of a relationship between a stimulus and a response, which is why behaviorist theorists are often referred to as stimulus-response theories. I'd like to request the participant to kindly mute their mic. So, behaviorism is a theory of learning focusing on observable behaviors and discounting any mental activity. Learning is defined simply as the acquisition of new behavior. Now, if we go a bit deeper into the behaviorism concept, the first criteria of behaviorism, or the first aspect of behaviorism is the classical conditioning. Now, I think with the term classical conditioning, we are a bit aware about the famous Pavlov's experiment, which I think we have studied in our schools and somewhere in class 9 or 10 or something like that. So classical conditioning involves the reinforcement of a natural reflex or some other behavior which occurs as a response to a particular stimulus. A well-known example of this type of conditioning, the first of its kind, is the Ivan Pavlov experiment with a dog. The saliva secretion of the dog, which is related to ringing the bell. It's a famous experiment. I believe a good number of us are aware about that. The classical conditioning is followed by certain phases of learning like acquisition, extinction, generalization, and discrimination. So obviously, acquisition of the trait, if we cannot practice it in the long run, it is going to get extinct. Then generalization, we need to get acquainted with the part of the learning, and ultimately it will differentiate or discriminate us from the other perspectives. The second aspect of behaviorism is the general learning. Well, as all parents will understand, there are certain situations where the reason of safety, it is important that young children do not do certain things. Just like stepping off the curb, poking electrical sockets, reaching towards a pan of cooking vegetables, and so on. What I believe that every one of us are very much aware about those parts because we used to poke our children to do all those things. Now, why we are poking them? Because we have some learning in the back of our mind that probably if our children enter his finger in the electrical socket, he will get electrocuted. Or if suddenly he goes out in the street, he may get struck by a vehicle. So these are some general perceptions, some general learning which is already there in the back of our mind, and it guides us to take some decision and poking our children. So being a parent will involve what we will do if suddenly a parent finds that his son or daughter is doing something like that, so he will say no, please don't do that. The child will come to associate the poking of an electrical socket with an undesirable reaction from the parent, and in this way learn to avoid the reaction by not poking socket at least. That is the expectation. So if we poke them, probably they do that one. The eradication of the behavior is the most important consideration. The concepts involved become far less important. So this is a general learning perspective of behaviorism. The last but not the least is the school learning. Now, to apply models of behaviorism in the classroom, it is necessary to have clear idea of the behavior to be encouraged and reinforced. This behavior could be either related to general behavior, that is, it may be good, it may be bad to any student or to any trainee even, or more educational content related spellings, tables, or so on. Now, talking about school learning or classroom learning, because I think here we have good number of trainers also, so they can relate the same thing with the training perspective. Reward can play a very vital role in classroom environment. The rewards need to have value to the participants. It may be trainees, it may be students. If rewards come unexpectedly, intrinsic motivation will remain high. Obviously, I think every one of us, we can relate ourselves to this situation. If suddenly we get some reward, we will feel motivated to do that work. If intrinsic rewards are used, it is important that everyone receives 1 for their best effort. Rewarding only the best is not satisfactorily approach, as it is vital to maintain high self-esteem, especially with the less able and lower attaining participants. So the person who is doing good, we can reward them. Definitely it is good, but definitely we need to keep that point also in our mind, that the person who are weak in certain aspect, we need to give them, reward them also in every small achievement of their self, so that they can feel themselves as motivated enough. Now obviously there are some problems also associated to rewards. Rewards can be demean or learning experience. It can demean the experience of learning. It may also happen. Rewards can endanger feeling of unfairness or competition. It happens, I think in every organization it happens, that if somebody has got rewarded, then the other person will feel that probably he is getting some extra advantage and I am not getting that much, and it is a sense of unfairness or something, less competition and all. Rewards can detract from the real issue involved in the completing task. It may also happen. Rewards do not always lead to higher quality work, and rewards may isolate participants who feel they have little chance of getting a reward. Now that is the most important point, that they may feel, that a participant may feel that I am weak in certain aspect and it is not possible from my end for getting that reward. So that is again very important. The next theory is the constructivist. The area of constructivism in the field of learning comes under the broad heading of cognitive science. So as we all know that cognitive science is an expansive area. Cognitive scientists study how people learn, remember and interact, often with a strong emphasis on mental processes and often with an emphasis on modern technologies. So I think you can relate my session to the total training program. From the earlier form of learning, we will gradually come to the present form of learning, that is e-learning and learning science, how it is related to that. So constructivists view learning as a result of mental construction. That is, learning takes place when new information is built into and added onto an individual's current structure of knowledge, understanding and skill. We learn best when we actively construct our own understanding. So building understanding is another very important parameter through which we can learn something. Again, here I can remember a very famous quote of Albert Einstein, that in my classroom I don't teach my students, rather I create an environment where they can gradually learn. They can learn by themselves only. So the reference of knowledge, understanding and skills refer to what is commonly considered to be a description of types of learning that we become involved with. These three areas of learning are joined by a fourth area also, that is knowledge, concept, skills and attributes. So these four concepts together form the constructivist theory. The last but not the least, the schema. There is a famous saying that human beings understand the world by constructing models or of it in their mind. So first of all, we just build a model in our mind, and based on that model we learn whatever we are learning. So a schema can exist to represent a physical skill or action. An example of that might be related to handwriting. The correct way to construct a letter, the way in which spaces are created between words. I think every school going children, they are very much aware about. So gradually a child or a well developed schema related to throwing a ball or simple object would be able to develop it into a successful schema to use a variety of throwing situations, just like throwing a javelin or something like that. So building model is related to schema. We need to successfully build a model, and then we need to relate it to the learning concept. Now, learning theories are guided by learning styles. Well, it is apparent to many of those who have considered learning, even if only in passing, that we learn in different ways from each other, and we often choose to use what has become known as a preferred learning style. So every individual, whoever it may be you, it may be me, it may be any participant who are attending our training program of our classes, they have their own learning styles, and based on their learning style, they usually learn something. So there are different models. Here I've given some example of certain models which are considered as the base model, or the base model based on which the learning style has been constituted. So the first model, that is Honey-Mumford model, it has been developed in the year 1986. It suggests that we need to be able to adopt one of 4 different styles in order to complete any given learning task satisfactorily. Activist, reflectors, theorist, and pragmatist. They are the 4 perspectives based on which the total model has been built up. Now, who are the activist learner? Activists prefer to learn by doing rather than by reading or listening. Who are the reflectors? Reflector learner stands back and observes. So he usually observes the situation, and based on the outcome he learned. Theorists like to adapt and integrate all of their observations into a framework so that they are able to see how one observation is related to the other. So it is basically a theory-based approach. The last, that is the pragmatist. Pragmatist learners are keen to seek out and make use of new ideas. So they are the new ideas generators mainly. The second model, which is very important, is the neuro-linguistic programming model. So neuro-linguistic programming is considered with how we communicate and how this affects our learning. Over many years, and though many research projects, including close and detailed observation of the way we communicate, 3 particular learning styles, that is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, have been identified. Now, what is visual? Visual learners prefer to learn by seeing. They just see, and from that seeing they learn. Auditory learners like to learn by hearing, and that is through listening only. And kinesthetic learners prefer to learn by doing. That is, they are the practical one, and after doing only they can learn something. In the model, even reading has also been considered as a very important dimension. The next model, that is Myers-Briggs model, they have given us a different perspective of identifying the learning style. Mainly extroverts, introverts, sensors, intuitors, thinkers, feelers, judgers, and perceivers. So they have classified all the learners in this 8 classifications. So those who are extroverts, they are happy to try things out and focus on the world of people as they are extroverts. Now, those who are introvert learner, they likely to think things through and focus on the world of ideas. Sensors who tend to be practical, detail oriented, and who focus on facts and procedures. Intuitors, mainly they are imaginative concept oriented, and focus on meaning. Thinkers who are skeptical and make decisions based on logic and rules. Feelers who are appreciative and tend to make decisions based on personal and more humanistic considerations. There are judges who set and follow agendas and seek closure and completeness even without having the full picture. Or perceivers are those who adapt to changing circumstances and will defer completion until more is known. So that is Myers-Briggs model. The next one is a very popular one, that is Kolb's learning model. Kolb's describes 4 general learning types based on 2 dimensions only. These are diverger, assimilator, converger, and accommodator. So diverging learners prefer to learn by observation, brainstorming, and gathering information. They are imaginative, sensitive. Assimilating learners prefer to learn by putting information in concise logical order and using reflective observation. Converging learners like to learn by solving problems and doing technical tasks and are good at finding practical use of ideas. Accommodating learners are those who are people-oriented, hands-on learners and rely on feeling rather than a logic. So, based on all these four models, what we can observe that every single model has explained the learners in a different perspective, but the basic style has been kept constant throughout. Now, this Fielder and Silverman learning style model, it is another system for describing learning style. It has many similarities with the other system and is considered as the mother model for teaching all types of learners. If we can look here, we will find that there are mainly 4 verticals: visual or verbal, active or reflective, sensing or intuitive, sequential or global. Now, as this is considered as the model, as a mother model, from this model only the modern concept of e-learning has been derived and technology has been incorporated along with the learning styles. Let's see the table so that we can get some idea. So through this table I will try my level best to explain the total relationship between the model and the e-learning system. So these 2 models, that is visual and verbal, it actually determines how a learner prefers information to be presented. And visual learning styles carries the characteristic of simulation, presentation and reading, whereas verbal learning style characterizes discussion group, brainstorming questions, answers, problem solving and many more. Now, if we can relate the visual learning style with the technological input, we will find that in today's world, we are relating the visual form of learning or visual form of learning style with forum discussions, Wikipedia, different types of animations, graphics, picture, simulation and videos. Whereas for ascertaining the verbal learning style, we usually use the audio recording or the podcast. The second dimension, that is active and reflective, it determines how a learner prefers to process information. So basically it relates to the processing of the information and through which perceiving the learning. So active characterizes the simulation, problem solving, discussion group, brainstorming, experiment, question answers, different things. And for ascertaining active learning style, in the present context, we take technological input of forum discussions, Wikipedia, learning, weblog, chat, email, etc. Regarding reflective, it characterizes presentation and case studies. And we take technological input from ebook or some written text. The third learning style, it symbolizes sensing and intuitive. It determines how a learner prefers to perceive or take in information. So grasping information is the objective of the third quadrant. Sensing characterizes presentation because just now as you are watching the presentation, you got some idea that how it is going on, how everything is moving on. Reading, problem solving, simulation, games, questions and answers. So even in management schools also we know that they give special emphasis on presentation, simulation, games, problem solving to develop the learning style of sensing. So forum, weblog, wiki, animation, graphic and pictures, these are the technological inputs which we gather. Intuitive, it focuses on discussion group, simulation, role games, case study, reading, etc. So internet research engine, QCM, these are the technological inputs from which we gather those information. The last quadrant, that is sequential and global, determines how a learner prefers to organize and process towards an understanding of information. Here also you will find that presentation, question, answers is the characteristic of sequential, and role games, brainstorming, case studies are the characteristic of global learning style. So weblog, wiki, chat, emails, these are the technological inputs through which we develop these learning styles. Now let's come to our topic, that is learning science. So obviously it is derived from the word learning itself, from all the learning models and learning styles. Learning science is an interdisciplinary field that works to further scientific, humanistic and critical theoretical understanding of learning, as well as to engage in the design and implementation of learning innovations and the improvement of instructional methodologies. So obviously it's an interdisciplinary field, and this dimension, this is not a unidimensional thing, it's a multidimensional figure, and through design, implementation and innovation we can develop the learning science. Now present learning reforms, we know that in this post-COVID era, the total learning scenario of the world has drastically been changed, and different countries are taking different reforms to rejuvenate the total learning system of that institution, of that country itself. So let's see some major reforms on some major countries so that we can relate it to the present context. So almost the first learning reform here, what I have mentioned, I have mentioned few steps. I haven't mentioned the total part because it is not possible to cover it within this short time frame. So countries using internet providing online platforms for continued learning. So obviously if we look back around I think 1 year back, so the way in which we are conducting our training programs, our classrooms, the situation has drastically been changed, and countries now, they are almost all the countries are now using internet and providing online platforms so that at least the learning should get continued, and it has given a very big boost to the global learning scenario, because in the inaugural session only as the director of Panchayat, he was telling that participants from almost 13 countries, they have applied for this course. So you can imagine that if we just conduct such type of training physically in our area, so it becomes a huge cost burden for the institution also, and also for the participants to come here to attend the program, cost as well as physical burden also. But now what happened, you are just sitting in your own place, you are using internet, you are using your own device, and we are accessing information. So that's a positive boost. Delivery of live session or record massive open online courses, that is MOOC styled lesson. Recording sessions are also getting popular nowadays. Faculties, trainers, they record those sessions and they just upload those sessions in the online platform, so that during our own time we can take a look on the sessions and we can grab the information from that. So learning content is also delivered through TV and other media. Even in our state also, classes has been taken with the help of cable channels, and in other parts of India also the same thing is happening. Actually, this type of situation has been adopted by almost all the countries. Now, just talking about China, what they have done, they have providing computers to students from low-income families, and offering mobile data packages and telecommunication subsidies to students. So this initiative has been taken by China government. In France, what they have taken efforts to lend devices and provide printed assessment to 5% of the learners who do not have access to the internet or computer. So government has taken this decision to provide printed assessment or assignment copies to the learners who do not have any access to internet or computer. In the United States, the schools are not encouraged to provide online learning services unless equitable access is ensured. So they are providing pressure to the schools for building online learning environment, and if they have not equitable access to these resources, the government is not allowing schools to provide online learning. In Portugal, the government suggested a partnership with the post office service to deliver working sheets to be done at home, so that students can remain in their home and they can complete those assignments, and through postal service only they will deliver those assignment copies and they will pick it up from the respective houses. Countries like Chile, China, France, Japan, Spain and Vietnam, they reschedule their examinations and assessment for all level of schooling, including universities also. Something same is also happening in our country also, and probably we can see more such reforms in the days to come. There are other dimensions also which I haven't mentioned in my presentation, just like food for education or midday meal. There are a good number of countries who have decided to provide food in the residence of the students, and so that at least they got the food in their home, and through online media they can grab the learning informations. Also, countries like USA, what they have done, they have allowed the children to take food for suppose 1 week or so. They can take the food from the local stores and they can continue their study in their home. So these are also certain initiatives which has been taken by different countries. Mainly in our country, technology focused national education policy 2019, I think we are aware about that. National education policy, the draft of national education policy has already been discussed by the government in the parliament, and probably we will see a new education policy in the days to come. Also, PM eVidya platform with 12 new DTH channels has been launched by the government. This 12 new DTH channels focuses, each channel focuses on each class. That is, for class 1 there is one channel, for class 2 there is one channel, and so on. Again, emphasis on blended courses and training programs has been given by different platforms, so that multidisciplinary teaching approaches can be popularized in the country. And there are many other reforms which has been taken in India. But definitely, as you can see on the slide, that there is miles to go, because still there are a good number of challenges in this post-COVID era. Learning or education has still become a very challenging task. So we need some reforms. We need to learn more good things from other successful countries or other successful nations, and we need to adopt, we need to apply those concepts in our country also, to get a better picture in the days to come. So that's all from my presentation. If you have any question, you can mention it in the chat, and that is my mail ID and phone number. You can mail me if you have any doubt or anything as such.
HCB, like I was telling you, in order to apply learning sciences in a way that lifts its effectiveness to the hilt, we should first attempt at understanding the needs of individuals. And in order to understand the needs of individuals, we will start by learning about a concept known as the human-centered design. Human-centered design, or HCD, is a philosophy that empowers an individual or team to designing products, services, systems, and experiences that address the core needs of those who experience a problem. The very people who experience a problem the most are a constant part of the design process, and when possible, become part of the design team itself. Excuse me. There are 5 phases in HCD. These are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test and iterate. Now let us understand each of these in greater detail. Empathize, the first step, involves truly understanding the people who experience a problem before you design a solution to serve them. Empathy is about understanding the problem by immersing yourself in the community that will be affected by your design. Designers spend time talking directly to those who experience a problem, observing how these environments work, and consulting experts on the issue to fully grasp all the challenges that need to be overcome in order to create a solution. This often involves focusing on participatory action research, not just documenting the user, but engaging them in the brainstorming, modeling, and prototyping as well. The next step is defining. Now, after learning as much as you can about the issue you're looking to solve, defining the problem by focusing on key action that you want to accomplish is what is required. As a human-centered designer, you should always be asking why. The way you define the problem is important and should be phrased in such a way that it allows for creativity in how it could be addressed. With this statement, I hope everyone is getting to hear what I am saying, because I am getting messages that you are not being able to hear me. Please let me know if I am not audible. So resuming what I was talking about, as a human-centered designer, you must, look to solve problems, and you solve problems by defining the problem that you want to accomplish. Now, the way you define the problem is important and should be phrased in a way that allows for creativity in how it could be addressed. Now, with the statement, designers can come up with a variety of potential solutions. This statement will serve as a thesis that the team can repeatedly check solutions against throughout the process to ensure that they are actually tackling all aspects of the problem. Now, this takes us to the next step, which is ideate. Now, the goal is to come up with as many ideas as possible. When we judge ideas as they come out, it shuts down the creative process. It is always better to co-design where we work right alongside those who we are aiming to design for. By having them involved in the process, you're likely to get more nuanced solutions that are bottom-up and not top-down. The next step is prototyping. Now, given that it's a prototype, it's considered a work in progress, not a final solution. A good practice for designers and participants is to have multiple prototypes and experiment to see which one is best suited to meet the needs of the person they are designing for. The last but not the least step in this process is test and iterate. Putting the ideas and prototypes to test, that is what this step is all about. This is where designers identify flaws, weaknesses, and gaps in the design, improving it all the way. The person who lives with the problem is asked to test the model or prototype repeatedly and see if it addresses all aspects of the problem. It is particularly important when testing that you are not trying to defend your solution. That is very important. It should be organic as far as possible. Now, there are certain things that we should all remember while using human-centered design. Human-centered design is all about building deep empathy with the people you are designing for, generating tons of ideas, building a bunch of prototypes, and sharing what you've made with people you're designing for, and eventually putting your innovative new solution out in the world. So it's quite a process, and it's like a spectrum. Now, designing is with and not for the end user. That is one thing that we should all remember, that we must design with and not for the end user. We must know that HCD follows a participatory approach wherein it designs for people rather than designing for problems. Spending time with people, understanding their problems, communicating with them, and the specifics of their lives are things that are considered extremely important while deploying HCD. So one is able to collect deep insights that result in workable, personalized, and data-driven solutions. Now, there are quite a few benefits to using HCD. It checks assumptions, it cuts waste, and it creates partnerships. Now, this brings us to a very closely related concept called design thinking, which also is human-centered at its core. Now, design thinking is defined as an ideology that asserts a hands-on, user-centric approach to problem solving that can lead to innovation, and innovation can lead to differentiation and a competitive advantage. This hands-on, user-centric approach is defined by the design thinking process and comprises 5 distinct phases, as same as the human-centered design. Now, design thinking is an iterative process in which we seek to understand the user, challenge assumptions, and redefine problems in an attempt to identify alternative strategies and solutions that might not be instantly apparent with our initial level of understanding. Now, like I said, that the phases of design thinking are same as HCD. So the first step is empathize. So you empathize with your users, define the next step, you define the user's needs, their problems, and your insights. Which brings us to ideating. Now, ideate is where you ideate by challenging assumptions and create ideas for innovative solutions. This brings us to prototyping. Prototyping refers to starting creating solutions. And the last step is testing, which refers to testing solutions. It is important to note that the 5 phases, stages and modes are not always sequential. They do not have to follow any specific order and can often occur in parallel and repeat iteratively. Given that you should not understand the phases as a hierarchical or a step-by-step process, instead, you should look at it from the view of the modes or phases that contribute to an innovative project rather than sequential steps. Now, design thinking is often referred to as outside the box thinking, as designers are attempting to develop new ways of thinking that do not abide by the dominant or more common problem-solving methods. At the heart of design thinking is the intention to improve products by analyzing and understanding how users interact with products and investigating the conditions in which they operate. At the heart of design thinking also lies the interest and ability to ask significant questions and challenging assumptions. Now, in order to better understand how to make trainings effective for trainers, let us try to empathize with their stock routine, their daily routine, and make an attempt to understand what a day in their life is like. Now, as you can see that in this slide we have a clock on the slide, and the clock on the screen denotes the 24 hours of a typical working day in the life of a trainer. Now, let us denote each major activity one does according to the most suitable time of the day. So, the person gets up early in the morning at 6. Soon after, he or she gets ready and goes for around 7. While one has to take care of one's household chores in the morning, let us assume that he or she has breakfast at around 8 o'clock. AM is when one is en route to the college and institute where one teaches or does research. Now let's say 10 AM is when one starts one's day in the college or institute. Now let us assume that the trainer is busy taking sessions or classes all through the first half. This starts at 10:30 and ends around 12:30 or 1. This is followed by lunchtime from 1 to 2. The second half sees the trainer take up a host of allied activities. These days, most academicians are also into research, which takes up quite some time of his or her day. So let us assume that research occupies the trainer's time from 2 to 4 p.m. on a typical day. Now, this is followed by other meetings and administrative tasks that one must perform. The working hours of the trainer ends at around 5 p.m. So, let us assume that it takes around an hour for that person to reach home. This keeps him or her occupied from 5 to 6 p.m. Once home, the person has a whole lot to take care of. One may have groceries to buy, which may take about an hour of the day. So 6 to 7 p.m. can be reserved for that. One may take care of one's family. So evenings are normally to spend time with family, help children to do homework, taking care of aging parents, so on and so forth. This could take up around 2 hours of the day. So evenings from 7 till 9 p.m. are reserved for household activities. Then comes dinner time. Let us safely assume that the 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. is engaged in having dinner and allied activities. The rest of the time, exhausted as a person, he or she is likely to spend that time watching television or pursuing other leisurely activities. Finally, the trainer goes to sleep at around 11:30, 12 at night, again to get up at 6 a.m. in the following morning. Now that we know how the schedule of a trainer is, and that he or she hardly has any time all through the day, how do we make sure that the trainer finds time to take up new courses or to further his or her skills or ambit of knowledge? As a trainer intending to train other trainers, empathy is the key to come up with the right training design. It is also a given that we, as training designers, must take care of a few things while designing the training. The fact that trainers are extremely busy all through the day, that they are not too technologically challenged, and most of them suffer from the same distractions that their students suffer from: low attention span. Now, keeping these in mind, let us try to figure out how to best address these issues while devising a training program. Let us first find out the possible mode of delivery. In today's time, it is almost imperative that the training can be delivered digitally. Now, once we have decided that we would be offering the training digitally, let us now focus on the times of the day when the trainer can possibly afford some for the training. See on the screen, the first slot is when is during his or her travel for work, considering transport and does not drive to work. The second time available is when he or she has reserved for undertaking research activities. Now, this time can be divided into two parts: doing the research and doing the training. Again, this means that the trainer would not have much time to devote to trainings. This refers us to designing or devising the training in such a way that it is time efficient yet effective. Now, the third slot available is if the trainer chooses to cut down on the time allotted for administrative activities. Frankly speaking, this is the least likely slot that one would choose. However, the fourth slot is a more probable one, considering that the trainer would be on his or her way back home. Choose to utilize the traveling time to do something constructive. Back home, one may squeeze some time out from one's family time and take up the training. Lastly, one may choose to take up training late at night after dinner. What we do realize by analyzing a day in the life of a trainer is that the most effective training should be delivered in a way that does not take much time, offers easy retention, and takeaway that offers serious value. Now, the big question is, how do you do that? Now, we'll be dealing with how in subsequent slides. Now, this brings us to the next big topic of discussion today: content. Content has an all-pervading presence while devising trainings. While content is of paramount importance, we must remember that content primarily comprises two aspects: richness of content and style. Please note that both are of equal importance, and the fact that in content, creativity rules. In today's digital world, content is available for free. All of us have access to millions of web pages of freely accessible or downloadable content on the internet, and we do make a good use of that. However, while much of the content is free, it is still the heart and soul of any training program. The way that freely available content is more so that information transforms into knowledge, and knowledge transcends into something of serious value. Trainers is the final aim of any training. Molding of content is always easier said than done. This is where creativity comes into the picture. We should always remember that it is the production of any piece of content on which the success of the content depends. Thus, we must be mindful of reproducing cliche content in such a way that audience or trainees in your case can readily relate to it. You may think old wine in a new is what I am referring to. Now the answer is no. We must accept that the production of content involves a lot more than presenting the same old content in new light. It also involves adding features that transform the content and add value to it. This adding of dimensions is the motto of every trainer. This is what finally leads to effective training programs and heightened learning outcomes. Nowadays, with digital media and other technological advancements, it is imperative that we use the latest technologies to reach out to our audience more effectively. Also, in today's world of distractions, we must make sure that we communicate as much as possible through visuals. Now, this takes us to the importance of visuals. Visuals are pervasive in media in both our work and leisure activities. Any piece of content holds immense potential of conveying lots of information effectively through the use of visuals. Each day, millions of people post or view images and videos on websites such as Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Additionally, other sites such as LinkedIn, SlideShare, etc. places for people to post slideshows that others can access and learn from. Visuals are being used as search expression with smartphone apps or Google. This growing use of images for conveying information confirms that being visually literate is important not only to communicate effectively, but also communicate efficiently. One study at MIT found that people can process and retain the concepts in an image that they view for as little as 13 milliseconds. People cannot process text at that same speed and will, in fact, comprehend less than as their reading speed increases. Now, this brings us to some visual rhetoric, which refers to the way the visual features of a message communicates. These features include photos, drawings, charts, graphs, and tables, but also fonts, colors, the placement of text on a page, and even paragraph length and use of headings. It may seem like you're simply putting numbers on a table, demonstrating a chart, or getting an audience attention. But every visual you choose tells your story and leaves the audience with you, your data, and your ideas. In other words, visuals are never neutral. Rather, they are as essential to communicate meaning and presenting a professional image as the words written in a document or spoken in a presentation. Additionally, as a consumer of visual information, you want to look critically at the visuals you encounter to ask what message is being conveyed and whether it is being conveyed clearly and ethically. This brings us to the next topic, which is about how you plan visuals. Your planning for visuals should be guided largely by your training and communication goals. And it should begin as soon as you gather your information. To determine whether you should use a visual, review your information to identify complex information, difficult information, and facts. You will also ask yourself how a visual will inform or persuade an audience and provide interest. Now, constructing and presenting visuals in this, when constructing and presenting visuals, you can ensure clear communication and readability by following commonly accepted academic conventions. The most important aspects are size. What assumes the occasional objective, frankly? Orientation, landscape or portrait. We all know that. Type, font and typeface and things like that. Rules and borders, boundaries of the document actually. Colors and cross-hatching, and distinctions. Background, again, pictures, high and low contrast, so on and so forth. Numbering. Now, there are use of content that we should all be careful of, and we should all take these 5 views into serious consideration. Preparing content: who, what, where, when, and why. As a set of content coverage, you may use these 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. Sometimes you may also use how. Because conciseness is also important, you do not need to include all the W's of the title. At the same time, you may have to compare between the benefits of 2 different development schemes. So, the 5 W's would be like, in your case, for example, who? In the state-sponsored schemes. What? Would be rural development schemes, where state of Assam, for example, or maybe Tripura in your case, where financial year 2018-2019 for comparison. The content also involves understanding the needs of the as well as their pain points. While we can always aspire to deliver a lecture in a way that makes in the simplest of concepts sound esoteric and rocket science, as a trainer, our objective should always be to deliver the training in a manner that the weakest trainee, even the weakest trainee without any prior knowledge about the topic, is able to understand. Also, the most distracted trainee pays attention due to the interest aroused by the way the training is delivered. This can be done only by transforming the content and transcending it to a level that it engages the audience more than ever. By adding pedagogical features, obviously, to the starting point of this. Now, adding pedagogical features is a completely different approach to transforming content. Now, adding pedagogical content achieve a whole lot of advantages. It intersperses the content features that training more engaging and interesting. It reinforces important information and concepts easily. Adds value by offering various add-ons to the existing content. Breaks monotony of plain written content. Now, we can have innumerable types of pedagogical features. However, the most popular of them are given on this screen. Learning objectives. Say chunks of content on a topic, section or chapter or module, and what objective can the reader expect to achieve by reading that or going through that. Quick capture. Phone knowledge before you start reading the module or chapter or topic, whatever. Introduction. Section that introduces the module to learners. Sidebars. Captures important pointers such as definitions, equations, tips, key points, etc. for easy retention and reinforcement. Also aid additional learning, attention-grabbing details in the form of small notes. Exhibits. Important facts, concepts, pointers, etc. that need special attention. Know your problem. Assessment. Basically, primarily comprising objective type questions or short answer tests. Learning objective based practice material. get our understanding of what we just read. Now, summary. Summary of complete module can be normally tagged with the learning objective. Key learnings of the module collated under one section is what it refers to. Keywords with definition. Keywords that one must be aware of after defining it as that juncture of hypothetical case studies to explain topics better to the use of real examples. Now, like we have pedagogical features, we can also have assessments. This also forms an important part of your training module. Now, like I was saying, assessments is an extremely important part. Also, for any training, working in the rural development sector, it could be through offering a host of assessments depending on the need of the outcome. If the training is on a livelihood, trainer could use project assignment where participants could get some hands-on experience. On this example, let's say the training is on hospitality skills to dwellers of remote areas, of homestay services. Now, in this case, the trainer could use role-play exercises to see if these training outcomes were met. Now, there are particularly popular types of questions. It comprises discussion, review, conceptual, numerical, or situation-based questions. Group activity or project assignments. Questions that need group collaboration or looking beyond the review questions. Learning by asking questions whose solution reinforce concepts in minds of readers. Critical questions, maybe analytical conceptual questions. Discussion questions. Assessors learn by asking discursive, relatively long answer questions. Situation-based questions. Presents a situation basis on that situation. Role plays. Presents a situation where the parties have to essay roles through which trainees assesses the level of understanding of concepts and applications. Now, you see, in today's digital world, it is that we make the best use of digital tools and platforms for delivering and conducting trainings. E-learning has been across the world for quite some years, but COVID-19 has rather compelled learning and development institutions to conduct trainings. In fact, given the use of multimedia, the scope of transformation and transcending content is far higher when trainings are delivered digitally. And you know, CBT, that is called online training, e-learning, QBT, as it is called, refer to instruction and way of training that comes through the internet or the web. All these methods can include and integrate instruction, text, interaction with simulation games, and video, and collaboration with blogs, wikis, and social networks, and hyperlinks to additional resources. And you know, some types of CBT, computer-based trainings, content stand alone using some software or DVDs where no connection. These can training content, answer questions, and choose responses regarding how they would behave in certain situations, but they cannot collaborate with other learners. Online learning, e-learning, and web-based learning, you know, all of them include delivery of instruction using the internet or web. The training program can be accessed using the public internet or through the institute's private internet. There are quite a few advantages of e-learning. It follows institution's objectives mostly. It is accessible at any point in time and from any server across the world. Training can be delivered to geographic dispersed trainings. Trainings can be delivered faster and to trainees in a shorter span of time. Practice, feedback, objective assessment, and other positive features of a learning environment. Learning is enhanced through multiple media like etc. And of course, piecework related to training management, say for example enrollment, assessment, etc., can be completely eliminated. It can, lead to other very important. Let's take choosing the right training method. You're likely to be asked to choose a training method. Given a large number of training methods available to you, this task may be pretty difficult. One way to choose a training method is to compare methods. How might you choose, to choose a table to comparison to choose a training method? First step in choosing a method is to identify the type of learning influence. Training method may influence several learning outcomes. Research on specific learning method has shown that for learning to be effective, instructional method needs to match that learning outcome. Rather, choice of the learning method should be based on the learning or the desired learning outcomes and features that facilitate learning and transfer learning method. The next step is to consider the extent to which the method facilitates learning and transfer training, related development and use of a method and its effectiveness. You also set a program to capitalize on the strengths of each method for facilitating learning transfer. The transformation of content largely depends on the efficacy of training method chosen and the training outcome desired. Thus, it is advisable that the trainer chooses the method carefully as the pedagogical features along the delivery format so as to enable trainers to make the most of training sessions. Now, we all know that new technology training methods require considerable investment in development. Development costs are related to purchasing hardware and software, as well as developing programs and transferring programs to new media. Say, for example, smartphones using apps. Now, however, although development costs are high, costs of administering the program are low. In fact, advantages of this method would include cost savings due to training being accessible to employees or trainees at their home or office, reduced number of trainers needed to conduct the training, reduced costs associated with trainees traveling, central trainings, using airfare, food, lodging, etc. Now, it all depends on the training object and it's measured by effectiveness of transfer of training. Now that we know about the basics of science that have to come together for a training to be successful, let us understand synergy and the concept of synergy, relation to content and learning sciences. Now, synergy is a term that is to the context of mergers to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate parts. Now, in this context, Synergy refers to the merger of various technologies and strategies that learning outcomes. Learning sciences, as a fast evolving discipline of application in the learning and training sectors, combines a whole lot of aspects, right from delivery platform to content to the tools and techniques required. Now that you know about separate aspects of learning sciences and training, such as delivery platform, content, and let's discuss the role of three aspects combined, and see how these three aspects together can bring out training programs that offer a much higher value compared to what it would be had they been deployed separately. At the very beginning, let us understand that we deploy these three aspects in a planned manner and make our trainees develop the programs. It brings about a sea difference. To elaborate, we know that from before how content can be transformed to make it more engaging, how the various tools can be used to heighten the overall training experience, and finally, how the delivery platform can effectively deliver the entire program in an effective and efficient manner. In fact, these three aspects, that is the content, the delivery platform, the tools and technologies used, should gel so well that they are brought to you in use and should gel and should appear as an organic whole. It is then that these three create a synergy and heighten the overall experience training. Now, I'm sure that along with the other tools and delivery platforms that will be covered in subsequent sessions, you would be able to get a good view of what learning sciences is and how the various tools, technologies, and e-learning can help you devise much better and more effective training. With this, our session today comes to an end. Hope to meet you all during some other sessions soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would also like to answer any questions if you may have. Please feel free to ask questions.
Thank you, Chandrabhanu Babu. I think that was a very nice session. Now the house is open for the questions. If anybody is having any question, kindly raise your question in the chat box.
Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty.
I think feedbacks are coming in the chat box, and everybody is quite satisfied with your presentation. We made a mistake while thank you. We made a mistake while just telling the name of the resource person, and we have just skipped the name of one very important person, who is Sri Parthapratim Bhattacharjee. I would like to mention here that the training program which we are conducting here in the Panchayat Training Institute, AD Nagar, he is the only driving force who is behind the total technical as well as inspirational part. He has guided us like anything, and he has played a true role as a state linking officer for the state of Tripura. And the amount of burden which he has taken for making the program a grand success, I think it's worth mentioning. And the reason is that we cannot consider him as an external speaker. Hello? We cannot consider him as external speaker. He is a part of this training institute only. the part of RD Panchayat department. So special thanks for the Partha Pratim Bhattacharya sir, and apologies from the part of RD Panchayat department for not mentioning, forgot to mention his name. Actually, it unintentionally got skipped somehow. So I don't think they have any other question. Our participants have any other question. While our next distinguished speaker, he is also with us, Shri Jayanta Chaudhuri sir. Actually, his name needs no introduction, I believe. Dr. Jayanta Chaudhuri, presently working as Associate Professor, Northeastern Regional Center, National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. Earlier, he was Faculty Development of Rural Studies, Tripura University, and State Institute of Rural Development, Tripura. He did his PhD in Masters in Rural Development from Vishwa Bharati University, West Bengal. He is author, editor of 13 books and more than 50 research articles in various rural development and local government Panchayati Raj issues published in national and international journals and in edited volumes. He serves as Associate Editor for International Journal of Rural Development and Management Studies, New Delhi, and TUI, a journal on tribal life and culture, Government of Tripura. He has led various internationally funded development projects in India and Bangladesh, received Global Award Best Professor in Rural Development from World Education Congress 2015, and Broad Outlook Learner Teacher Award 2006 from Air India, Mumbai. Active board member of various civil society organizations, including Financial Inclusion Trust, under the aegis of Bandhan Bank, Kolkata. Recognized as Expert Inclusive Policy Lab, UNESCO. We are very happy, sir, that you are here today with us for delivering your session. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you. So, how to give my presentation? Where it is already there, loaded. Yes, now. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Getting me?
Yeah. Sir.
Okay. And I getting my PPT also?
Yeah.
PPT?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So thank you everybody.
Go.
Okay. Thank you everybody for this training program. And my topic is the role of learning science in rural development training. Most probably already it has been discussed that what is learning science and others. So I am not going detail on that learning science because already Devashishta. Okay. So learning science, I am not going into detail. Even frankly speaking, learning science is a very technical term and technical people are using and handling. What I can understand and what I can focus on the issues related to training and how the learning science can play. So I'll talk on that. So when is it okay? Shwan, is it okay? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, yes, sir. It is okay.
Okay, fantastic. So this regarding the first slide, if you see that there is a saying, it's called that I like to learn but hate to be taught. So learning science, when you talk about the learning science, the science of learning, that people want to learn. The Winston Churchill once told that I like to learn but I hate to be taught. So this is, it may seems like it's a dilemma kind of thing, but it is true. All the, when you talk about the adult people, that they want to learn, but not like monotonous thought like universities and other. They want to learn from different way. So that's the science of learning is coming. The learning science is coming. How your science can go to reach to those people who want to learn but not to be taught on that. Second thing is that again, another philosopher, Albert Einstein, he told that I never teach my people, okay, teach my people. So I should not teach them like a student kind of thing. I only attempt to provide that condition in which they can learn. So you can understand this from these two lines that one way people want to learn, okay, but the second way that you should not treat them, they are your student or like that. They want to, you have to create an atmosphere, you have to create a condition, okay, so that you can learn. So every day we are learning. Hardly you will find out in your family that your mother is cooking, but if you ask from where you have learned, from any school or any, it's not learned. It's a lifelong. I mean, first she learned from maybe from her mother or somebody else, and then slowly every day she is doing that, and a lot of new innovation also came to her. Various way, but even nowadays people are learning from maybe the TV programs, lot of TV programs on how to cook on that. Shows are there, and nowadays YouTubes are there also for the. So things are available, things are available to learn. It's not like that you have to go to the classroom and you have to learn. It's not necessary. Second, this thing is that learning is not confined that only for you can learn from the human being. There are a lot of things that you can learn from the nature. There are a lot of poets and other, how we learn from that, what we learn from that, say from sky, what we learn from the plant, what we learn from the animal. So many things are there to learn. It's not learning, it's not confined within the classroom. Learning is not confined within the training program. These are mere some facilitator, but lifelong there is every day you are learning something. So learning science is coming from that angle. So how better you can make the arrangements. Again, I am telling, I am not the man of learning science, rather your technical people are there who will speak on that. What I am trying to make you understand, how this science or the science for learning can help in the developing or arranging better training, and that can help in the rural development. When we talk about the rural development training, how it can be, okay. So now rural development, if you think that there are a lot of definitions are there, but basically when you talk about the rural development, its basic goal is it's a strategy to improve the economic and social life of specific group of people. Obviously, definitely it's a poor. I'm not talking about the BPL. There are a lot of controversy about the BPL, who is the BPL, APL, but like a it is not that forum to discuss what the things, but as a poor, rural poor. So it involves extending the benefit of the development of the poorest among those. So our goal as a rural development practitioner, our goal is how we can reach to the most needy people, how we can reach to the most downtrodden people, how we can reach to the mostly excluded people. That is our goal of rural development. No? So the group, it may be the small farmer. You can add on. It may be tenant. It may be the landless. When you talk about the agriculture point of view, but there are many more other options are there. Say a person with disabilities. We are doing especially challenged people, the women at that household. So many you can add on. It's subject to the your discipline, your department. You can vary on who will be your add-on, who will be your target group, but it remains. So, but the rural development, when we talk about that, basically to improve the living standard. Whoever we are targeting, the living standard of the masses and low-income population residing in the rural areas. So, some other people are listening apart from our participants. Okay. Are you getting me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So rural development as a process should continue to raise the capacity. That is important. It is not that not the giving to people. Say for example, I used to follow a good story on that the fishing regarding the fish. Two friends was one friend was very poor. So one day he went to his own friend and asking for some money because he is so poor. So the friend helped him. Okay, that day gone. The next day again, next day it happened that again the person went to visit to the same friend and request him for some assistance, some support. Okay, that was given. Again another day, the poor friend went to his friend and asking for the similar support and then they told no, I can't give because every day I can't do that. No, it is not possible. So he denied to help because he is also the almost same condition. How every day it can be. So that poor friend, he went to the next door or next friend, okay, and he told that, see, this is my condition, and I asked the friend one, and 2 days he helped me, but next day, midnight, today is not there, so I need some support. The second friend told, no, I can't give you anything. Rather, come with me. I'm going to the river to catch some fishes. The poor friend told, no, I can't come because I don't know. I'm like, okay, you come and you learn how to catch fishes. So he went there and first day it was problem, but to some extent he managed something and some fishes. He catches some fishes and then next day onward he started catching fishes and it happened. So the thing is, the first friend who supposed to give the support and a lot of benefit and like our government department, we expect a lot of support we will get from the government department. But the second thing is that the rural development, what we believe as a professional, we think on that the better emphasis should be given on the capacity building. It is not giving only the benefit. It is not giving only dole. It is not only that make people a dependency, dependent to others. The dependency syndrome. Nowadays people are talking so much. Even Rabindranath Tagore told in the very earlier that Atma Shakti, no, nowadays is Atma Nirbhar, but people are talking so much on that. But that Atma Shakti, even it is important that it will happen. So you have to believe on this. That the capacity building is on that to make you ready for the odds. Okay. So rural development training here stands that made people to fight against odds like poverty, unemployment, and other things. So many things are there. So that is the enabling environment that are doing. Okay, so this is important. So rural development as a whole, you can understand rural development, the development of rural people and the rural area. Rural people, you can say economic and social development, and the rural areas is the environment as well as the infrastructure. Now, objective of rural development, you know that. No need of discussing all these things, but to improve the living standard, to increase the productivity, and to involve people in planning and development, and to ensure distribute justice. So things are there where we need a lot of thought, lot of discussion on that. What should be the strategy? What will be the approach of rural development? What will be the things of rural development? Some of if you are doing on that, and somewhere you are learning how to think. The objective may vary to place. It may vary to your village to another village. It may vary to state to state. It may happen, but that remaining it remain almost the core of element of rural development remain almost same, that to improve that standard of living of the poor people. These are the main facets of rural development. If you go to the, there are the more, 4 facets in the, I mean, a lot of infrastructure. One is the rural infrastructure development, then livelihood and income generation activity. That is also important, because without this, and then a lot of empowerment concept, either economic empowerment, political empowerment, social empowerment, all even the cultural empowerment. These are all important. And then another aspect is very important facet is called human capital and social capital. Nowadays, I mean, few days back, I have seen that one flyer, they are asking for the high population is around 4,990 course fee, and that is on entirely one certificate program on social capital and human capital. I believe in this. This is very crucial, that human capital and social capital. And the training is helping towards improvement of the human capital. But it is equally important that in social capital, the trust, the bond, the faith, the network among each other, these are very crucial for rural development. Whatever the infrastructure you have, whatever the other things you have, until and unless you have the good social capital in any village, if the village is unless they are fighting among each other, they are quarreling every time, but it will create a problem. So it's required to more investment nowadays on the social capital, and obviously the human capital, that is the training can help us. Apart from training, there are other mode of human capital formation like education, universities, but training is also considered one of the inputs toward the human capital. Now the learning science, as I told you, I am not going to touch on the learning science, but it is a interdisciplinary field that studies teaching and learning. So when you are learning and I am teaching, so both should come in the same platform. When this wave, you have seen the movie Avatar. Avatar, I am sure you have seen that when if somebody is going to ride the horse, so that wavelength should match. Until and unless there is a wavelength matching, it's creating a problem. So that is important. So when you go anywhere, say for example, you sometimes you talk that my boss is very bad. Sometimes you tell that my boss is very good. Because that wavelength match, no? When there's a wavelength match, you think that is a good person is matching that. So wavelength, I mean, understanding among each other, what you are thinking, what he is thinking, even when it is a homogeneous equilibrium condition, then the learning it become much better. So when it's a trainer, when a trainer can mix its wave to the participant and the learner, and then the magic creates. So that I was telling that you creating condition, the condition of learning, I am sure few of my students are here that I always try in my university teaching another to the learning environment. I never told that it is not that okay I have to give some notes. I never used to give any notes, never. that he will only study those notes and come out with some and I will give you marks. No, never. I never done. And whenever they come out, I used to give a lot of assignments so that it can improve their thinking, their presentation. So this is important. How you are teaching, the methodology here comes the methodology. It is not only the content but also the methodology to reach to your learner. So teaching and learning is a very, very passionate job. Both to be a good teacher, you should be also a good learner. That is belief. So learning and study, the learning a variety of settings, not only in the more formal, in the, as I told you, the school, classroom, but also the more informal also, like at home also, on your job, among your peers. Okay. We are also learning from other participants. Okay. Now these are the things that training, education, and learning. The training, education, and learning almost more or less synonym, but there are some little bit gap on that. The training, I will focus on that training. Now the learning, if you see, there are definition of learning. What Oxford University used to tell, the learning that get knowledge and skill, ability to study the experiences or being taught, or the commit to memory, become aware of information, and okay. So it will be easier if we go to the next slide. There are 4 ways of learning. Okay, these 4 ways of learning are being told, imitation, trial and error, and thinking. These 4 things are very, very important. We learn basically if somebody told us. Okay, it may be guru, it may be somewhere, it may be your friend, it may be even sometimes we are learning. We are married person, we are learning from our wife also. So being told is very, very important. That somebody is telling you. Now that imitation, we try to copy. Somebody good fan of Kishore Kumar, somebody good fan of Lata Mangeshkar, somebody good fan of Amitabh Bachchan, Shahrukh Khan, and this and so many, even Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar. We imitate those things. Okay, that how would have, but it is not necessary that all the time you will copy. Okay, copy is something different. Now the trial and error is also one. We learn by trial and error. The whole life we are learning with the trial and error. Sometimes you make the mistake. But the mistake also help you. If you think that it's a failure, it's not a failure. Rather, it will help you to learn, to strengthen your knowledge, your understanding, your experience. That will help you. And the thinking, all the time it's a thinking. Whether I don't want to tell you that it's a dream, daydream, or like that, but rather it will be thinking. So these are the 4 ways of learning, as I told you. Now, learning event is belong to that being told and trial and error. We learn from somebody told me, and it's a learning event is coming there. So you can see in this learning here, it may be the sometimes the four ways you can learn together. Okay, so 4 ways. Sometimes it may be bigger, sometimes it's smaller. Sometimes in your thinking, both being told and thinking may affect. Sometimes thinking and trial and error can be okay. You are thinking and you are making also trialing. So this way, different way you can learn from that. Now, generally we used to do 2 types of work. One is the productive work task, and one is the reproductive task. It is that not reproductive is not necessary. It is related to biology, but rather the managerial points of view. The reproductive task basically, where there is an alternative way to doing the task, and when the creativity. So when the productive is when the productive work, you spend your time in the positive work, the productive work, that so that some creativity will work, something related to productive. When you are making something and the crafts and other, the people are more productive. They are creating this thing. So always, but there are few things who are going to only reproductive task. That is where there is one clearly defined procedure. So basically some monotonous, okay, not creativity. We have some lesson, we have some session, we have some structure, we have some syllabus, we are learning from within this. No, sometimes it's a require more productive way. Say, giving a lecture on team building may not help you to learn how to develop team. Rather, more activity, more role play, more this way involvement can help you to learn productivity. Okay. Learning event for a productive purpose. If you see the learning event of a productive purpose is basically the more on the imitation reproduction is a imitation and being told. So when you are imitating somebody and being told, that is a basically reproductive. So hardly you have any chance of thinking on this. But when you talk about the productive role, then is the thinking and trial and error is where we are learning by yourself. That is it. So this is the learning what we understand about the 4 ways of learning. Now little bit I will discuss on training. I am to share you that here I am today there is inaugural for the international seminar on rural development in Asia Pacific. So 5 days long the seminar will be conducted, but today is the inaugural program and the sessions are going on. Now next session I have to join, so I have to little bit hurry. I thought that it will be, I have to start in the 1 o'clock, but little late. Anyway, the training part is that when you talk about the training is that training is different, okay, different definitions is that, but training is basically it's a process, it's a planned process. You have to plan properly, otherwise the training you are missing something. So training is a planned process. It can help to modify your attitude, knowledge and skill. Okay, I am sure that you are aware about that, but still let us making on that. And through learning experience you can you can learn this. The training can help you on that, and to achieve the effective performance. You know, everywhere every people are performing, whether you, whether me or somebody else, you have to perform. We are existing because of our performance. Until unless I'll fail to perform, people will not recognize me. So I have to every field I have to perform. If I am in this teaching and training, then I have to perform. If I am a cricketer, I have to perform. The Dhoni have to retire. Okay, you can see. Now, maybe because of performance, Sachin Tendulkar, we never thought that Sachin Tendulkar, without Sachin Tendulkar, cricket team may happen. No, now it happened. Now we are thinking that, okay, without. I'm calling you within few minutes. Huh? So now the Virat Kohli, we are thinking that Virat Kohli, without Virat Kohli, nothing will happen. But now one day may happen. So, but the performance exists. We remember Sachin Tendulkar because of the performance. We remember all people because of the performance. Without performance, nothing will happen. So training can enhance the performance. You can effective performance. It can happen. It an activity to range of activity and to satisfy need of the organization. Why you are here? It's a systematic way. Why you are here? Because your organization demands some performance from you, and the training can help you. Training can improve your performance. That's why the training is designed. If you know something, then not necessary going for any training. But training can help you improve your knowledge, update your skills and others, and you become relevant in that. Because world is running, there are things are being changed. Until and unless you change yourself, the world will change you. Okay, so better to for better performance, you need that changing, keep updating, and training can help you. So, hello. Good afternoon. I am sending you a letter. I am sending you a letter. Okay. Yes. I'm sending. Okay. Thank you. So when there is more rapid development, when the increase output, then the improvement on the quality of the product and services, less waste of time. So training can help you to minimize your wastage of time, money, material and people. That's why that we need training, okay? And the better utilization of resources. It has happened that we have resources, but sometimes we misutilize resources, we underutilize resources, and sometimes overutilize resources. So, but it is required how we better optimal utilize of the resources, and then training also can make the fewer accidents. So it is important why we need training, the advantage of training. You can think on that. Now, when the organization needs training, when there is a new policy, you need training, when the technology is coming, you need training, and when the people require something or their personal thing also, they need training, okay? So training is basically, when we talk about the training, the understanding that training is basically a systematic development of attitude, knowledge and skill, behavior pattern required by an individual to perform adequately in a given task object. So now you have a gap of your performance gap, the skill gap, is the knowledge gap. That's why we need training. There are things are there even for the knowledge, skill and attitude. So knowledge is basically knowing what to do and how to do, okay? And skill is basically having the ability to do that. So I need the ability, capability to do that. And attitude is being prepared to do that. Until and unless your attitude, a few days back I was filling a form. What do you believe that what is the most important for an organization to hire people? When they hire people, what is the most important element they should learn? I believe on this, that purely on that attitude. You must have the good knowledge, you must have some knowledge and skill, but until and unless you have good attitude, it's a meaningless. But if you have a good attitude, you want to, then automatically the learning, the knowledge and skill you can acquire, okay? So that is important, that your attitude must be ready. So you must be prepared to learn. Otherwise, the training, education, whatever it may be, meaningless. But if you want to learn, then nobody can stop you, okay? But if you don't want to learn, whatever the effort it may be, nothing can be done. So attitude is the most important, but I believe on that. হ্যাঁ দেখেছি পরে করছি রে পরে So this is that identifying training need. If you go to that, one systematic approach of training is basically identifying the training need is the first stage. It is required. You must identify the training need. What are the training needs are there, and based on that you can design a plan. Until and unless it is required by the people, it is not the need-based training. The training is meaningless. And then when it's a design, is the time to implement it properly, and after that there will be accesses of result, the feedback, what we learned, from where we started and from where we finished, whether our training has minimizes your performance gap or not. If it has minimized your performance gap, then it's okay, the training is meaningful. Otherwise it's simply wastage of time and money and resources. So when you're designing a training, you have to mind it that the training must minimize the gap, the performance gap, and training must be addressed as a need-based training. It must address. So with this, there are two aspects. One is called trainer-centric approach. The trainer-centric approach is a task and trainer and training. So basically, it's a trainer. Even our university system also used to do that training, teaching. It become sometime we develop syllabus in that way where we are comfortable. We never think on that where student will be comfortable or that it's the need of the student or not. So what is our specialization? Based on that, we develop our syllabus, whether it is relevant to the market or not, whether the student will get a job or not, whether the job market what is demanding. It is not and most of the cases, the once you have designed the syllabus, say year after year you are running the same courses, and the student who are learning that, it become obsolete. There is no market value of the syllabus, so that it will become purely teacher centric. Okay, so similarly training also, whether it will be trainer centric training or whether it will be trainee centric training. Trainee centric even where the tasks both handled by the trainees and trainers, and then the proper design of syllabus. So nowadays we are talking about the mostly on the participatory training, more involvement of the people. It should not be monotonous trainee, one-way traffic, one way. This online training, because of the online training it becoming almost monotonous, almost one-way traffic. I don't know what is your reaction, whether you are taking me positively or negatively, I don't know. Because when we make a direct contact, we used to get a lot of body language of the participant, and that help us to module me, to improve me, to address those issues, why they are happy or they are not happy. So this way, but here it is obviously trainee center. We are making almost a trainer centric approach. So training is the basic, the knowledge and confidence. Knowledge give you confidence, skill is the competency, and attitude is the commitment. As I told you, this is very, very important. And I have already told you. Now I'll conclude with this slide. Though it is not justice with you, but I have another thing that I have to fulfill. A lot of people are waiting for that. Anyway, there are three phases of any training process. The first is the initial stage, when you are making a pre-training phase. It's a determining of what kinds of training are required for that. Then is during training phase, individuals undergoing structural learning experience. And third is the post-training phase, ensuring that what is learned in transfer of the actual job. These three are very important. So pre-training, basically you have to identify the performance problem, you have to analyze the performance problem, then identification of training need. As I told you, there is a systematic training need assessment, that the selection of target group. Real people should get the training. It is not that you have to namesake, you have to fulfill your quota, and that's why you are giving training. Lot of skill training is happening, and lot of the skill training is meaningless. People are getting training, but after that nobody knows what to do. So prepare training specification, what to achieve, what is your target. It is not necessary that within a same training you can achieve everything. So you have to plan accordingly. So training material you have to develop, and the drawing plan for the implementation, how we are going to think for this. Whether it's what platform, whether it's off campus, whether in campus, whether you will go to village and you will make the training or not, we don't know. You have to design accordingly. Now the in-training phase is basically organizing training resources, assessment of entry behavior. Entry behavior means maybe their age, their learning experience, because the same can be, say for example computer training. One person without knowing computer is coming, and somebody already knows so many years the computer. But if you want to conduct a training program for computer, and if you think the same module will work for both of them, no. The fellow who already knew that computer, he will be reluctant to learn. Rather, it is a challenge, but sometimes it happens you don't have the control over the individual or the participant. So what you can do, how you can judicially involve those persons, because he is already experienced. So he can also guide and coach. So he will be very happy to help others. Rather, he will get some importance, and as a result, your problem is solved. Okay. So sometimes you have to make as a training is a very dynamic process. You have to change according. It is not that tailor-made that one shirt will fit to everybody. You have to cut according to the training. That is the dynamism of the training, which is very, very important. And third is that the preparation of the transfer of training, seeking organization, and last end of the training, you have to both way, various way it can be evaluated. One is that how participants have learned, that is also important. Similarly, the funding agency, they will see how the training went. So you have to prepare the report and other things, the feedback you have to take from those. And also it's a learning assessment. Say recently we used to do training program, the online training program. Recently I did one international training program, rural development project management. So around 2,500 participants were there from almost 64 countries. And when we conducted training program, few people joined, but end of the day only 197 people got 97 people from 14 countries, they got the certificate. Lot of people fail. It is a controversy that whether we should make the assessment or not, but I thought it's the international training program should not be free, so everything we are giving free, but from the learning side also, learner also have to contribute something. They should attend all this session, and if you can't score at least 40% of these, what is the meaning of a learning? So learning assessment is also important. Similarly, the participant also give the feedback, how much I got the marks and this, so that it can also help me to improve my knowledge. So both the way, and also the funding agency, whether they are satisfied or not, institutions are satisfied or not, people are satisfied or not, whether there is a further demand or training or not. So with this is the three stages of training, and keep in your mind, this is that factor influencing the training, the acceptance and support by the top management, when they are giving lot of things. I know, the institution are not providing support to you, okay. Sometimes they are not allowing, you are getting lot of calls, when you are attending a training program, lot of phone calls you are getting, so definitely it is hampering your knowledge. Then availability of the training policy, then whether it is available or not, but most of the cases it is not available. Then formal description of the training function and role, and dynamic nature of the boundary, and the extent of linkage with other function. That is important. The training is not necessary, only training can solve all the problems. Non-training intervention is, as I told you, the computer training. You are giving a very good knowledge on computer. You are giving practical knowledge, practical practice also. But the person, the office is not providing computer to the gentleman or the lady. Then what is the meaning of the training? It becoming simply useless. Okay, so that's why it's important that training should be linked with the other function also. These are I have already told. So with this, this is the last slide. What we understand by the rural development training. One is the systematic approach to change the knowledge, skill, and attitude of the to enable rural people. So when you are designing a training, you are designing for the poor people or the rural people to change their knowledge and skill and attitude to overcome the challenges and grab opportunities. Both the way, the training we are thinking for to overcome the challenges and also to grab the opportunities for overall improvement the standard of living. And second is when you are giving training to the government department, government officials who are catering the rural development, for them the systematic approach to change the knowledge, skill, and attitude to enable rural functionaries to foster the overall improvement of standard of living of the rural people. So basically, rural development training, we are dealing two types of client. One is the government department, NGOs, and functionaries, and second client is directly our stakeholder, primary stakeholder, the rural poor. So for this, you have to think on that your first training for the client group of rural people, whether how your training can improve the overall standard of living, and second is that for the government functionaries and NGOs, how it can improve, enable them to foster the development. With this, I'm little bit hurry. I know that it should have more time, but sorry, in between I have not taken the lunch, but the next session will start in the 2 o'clock. So please apply me. But anytime in this training program, if I get some chance, tomorrow I have little spare time. So if tomorrow there is some chance, I will come for the question and answer session. So with this, let me stop. Thank you organizers, thank you participants for listening me, and thank you Mr. Subayan, thank you Patapati Bhattacharya ji. Chandrabhushan, all of you, thank you very much. And the department of Panchayat. I am from Tripura University. I work for quite a long time. I mean, more than 20 years I work in Tripura. So I am very happy that to be part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. We can understand that you are running after time, but the session which you have delivered was very informative, and I believe uh, it will guide us in the long run in developing policies towards rural development training and also relating it to the learning as well as learning science. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So let's call an end for the today's session. One important announcement for the participants. Tomorrow we will start our sessions sharp at 11. So I request all the participants to be online at least 15 to 20 minutes before 11. And if you are facing some trouble, I think most of you, whoever you are here, you have already sorted out the issue, because some person, I think they are not getting the voice and all. So I believe that you have already sorted out the issue. So I don't think that tomorrow anything odd will happen. And the presentations, that is PowerPoint presentations of the resource person, are already there in the LMS site, and that will get enabled in the due time. So you can collect those PowerPoint presentation and you can go through that one also. So thank you, everyone. Let's end our session today. Thank you.